The city lights sparkled like distant stars, reflecting off the glass towers that pierced the night sky. In Neolumen, humans and vampires coexisted in a fragile truce. The vampires were feared, powerful, and elegant, while humans were clever, adaptable, and underestimated. Among them, Alex thrived on challenges, seeking excitement wherever he could find it. That night, he was at the Crimson Ballroom, a gathering place where humans and vampires mingled, drank, and tested each other's limits. The place was alive with tension. Humans whispered nervously about the vampires' sharp eyes and pale skin, while vampires surveyed their surroundings, their confidence radiating like heat from the city's neon lamps. Alex leaned against a polished railing, surveying the crowd. His eyes landed on her, Celine. She was standing in a corner, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders like a river of night, her eyes glowing faintly red in the dim light. She wasn't just beautiful. She was dangerous. Everyone in the room knew she was one of the most skilled vampires alive, intelligent, cunning, and deadly in a fight. Yet for some reason she seemed bored. Alex grinned. He loved a challenge. "I'll bet anyone here 1,000 credits that I can get Celine to agree to a date," he said loudly, drawing the attention of the nearest humans and a few amused vampires. "Bold," one vampire murmured, a smirk curling across his face. "Do you even realize who she is?" "I do," Alex said confidently. "And I like a challenge." Celine's eyes shifted toward him. Her expression was calm but sharp, like a predator sizing up its prey. Alex could feel the weight of her gaze. Instead of turning away, he walked toward her, each step measured and self-assured. "Celine," he said, bowing slightly, "I'd like to formally ask you out." The room went silent. Whispers spread like wildfire. Vampires rarely entertained human advances, and no human had ever dared approach her directly. Celine tilted her head, her lips curling into a faint smile. "And why would I agree to that?" she asked, her voice smooth and melodic, carrying the faintest hint of amusement. Alex shrugged casually. "Because I'm interesting. Because I'm human. Because, why not?" The corners of Celine's mouth lifted slightly. "Because it amuses me," she said finally. "Very well, I accept your date. But I warn you, humans are fragile. I hope you are ready for the consequences." Alex's grin widened. Consequences accepted. The date was set for that evening. Alex spent the next few hours preparing, his mind racing with excitement. This was no ordinary date, it was a gamble. And he liked gambling. Celine's apartment was perched high above the city in a sleek black tower, almost hidden from sight. When Alex arrived, he was greeted by an enormous door that slid open silently at her touch. Inside, shadows danced across the walls, lit only by the soft glow of ambient lights. The air smelled faintly of night-blooming flowers, exotic and intoxicating. Celine stood near a window, her silhouette outlined by the city lights. "You came," she said simply. "I wouldn't miss it," Alex replied, his eyes scanning the room but always returning to her. They talked, and the conversation was a dance. Words flowed like music, teasing and testing boundaries. Alex spoke of human ingenuity, of creativity, and of the way humans adapted to survive. Celine listened, intrigued, her sharp mind appreciating his cleverness and courage. "You're different," she said finally, her tone both approving and curious. "Most humans would cower or run. You challenge me. Why shouldn't I?" Alex said with a shrug. "Humans aren't weak. We just think differently. That's our strength." Her eyes glinted with interest. "Different, indeed. I like that." For hours they walked the line between danger and charm, each trying to read the other, each enjoying the game. Finally, the moment came. Celine moved closer, her movements silent, elegant, precise. Alex could feel her energy brushing against him, a warmth that contradicted her cold. "Supernatural exterior. You should know," she said softly, almost teasingly, "that a date with me carries risks." "I'm ready," he said, his heart beating fast but steady. Celine smiled. And then she bit him, not harshly, not in anger, but in a ritual that left Alex stunned. Pain, sharp and electric, shot through him, but it was quickly replaced by warmth and an intense connection he could not explain. His senses exploded. The colors of the room were brighter, the sounds sharper, every detail amplified. And then she stepped back. Her eyes glowed brighter, watching him. "You are unusual," she said, almost approvingly. "The bond is formed. You are now mine." Alex blinked, still reeling from the bite. Wait, mine? What do you mean? She smiled, enigmatic. We are linked. You will feel what I feel, and I will feel what you feel. Your life, and your existence, are changed forever. Alex's pulse raced, not from fear, but from exhilaration. I didn't expect this. No human ever does, she said. Few survive it, but you are stronger than I thought. The city below glimmered innocently, unaware that a human had just stepped into a world of unimaginable power and danger. Alex felt different, stronger, faster, sharper. His body and mind were no longer purely human, yet he remained himself. The connection to Selene was confusing, thrilling, and terrifying all at once. As he left her apartment that night, he could feel her presence lingering in his mind. It wasn't overwhelming yet, but it was unmistakable, and in that moment he realized something profound. Humans were underestimated. Not weak, not fragile, not ordinary. Alex walked through the neon-lit streets, testing his new senses, marveling at the power that coursed through him. His hearing picked up whispers from distant conversations. His sight caught the smallest movements in the shadows, and his mind processed everything with startling clarity. Yet, despite his growing abilities, a single thought kept circling in his mind. Selene chose me. She, a vampire, considered me worthy. He smiled to himself, adrenaline and wonder mixing together. The wager had been a gamble, yes, but now it was far more than that. He had stepped into a world that most humans feared, and he had survived. More than survived, he had thrived, and for the first time, Alex understood what humans could really be. Clever, bold, adaptable, and capable of facing the impossible. The night air was crisp against his enhanced senses. He felt alive in a way he had never imagined. And somewhere he knew Selena was watching, always watching. The first part of his journey had ended, but the adventure, the true test, had only just begun. The morning sunlight poured through the blinds of Alex's small apartment, but it felt different, sharper, brighter, alive. When he opened his eyes, he noticed everything looked more detailed than before. Colors were vivid, shadows more defined. Even the faint hum of the city outside felt closer, as if he could hear each footstep in every passing car with uncanny clarity. Alex sat up slowly, trying to make sense of it. His body felt light yet strong, his reflexes twitching with energy. And then he remembered Selene, the bite, the ritual, the connection. The memory made his pulse quicken, but it was no longer the same nervous excitement as before. Now it was something more profound. He flexed his hands, feeling strength he had never known. A tingling warmth ran through his veins, as if something inside him had awakened. He stood and tested his balance, leaping to the top of his apartment's balcony with ease. The city stretched below him, every detail crisp, every motion noticeable. This is unreal, he muttered. The first days were a whirlwind of discovery. Alex found that he could hear Selena's thoughts in faint whispers, like echoes at the edge of his mind. When she was calm, he felt calm. When she was tense, his chest tightened as if sharing her stress. He realized that their bond was growing stronger by the hour. At first, it was confusing. Humans weren't meant to connect like this with vampires. It felt unnatural, impossible. But then Alex thought back to every story he had ever heard about humans underestimated by other species, and a slow grin spread across his face. If humans could adapt, they could thrive, even in the world of vampires. Okay, he said aloud, pacing his living room. This is new. This is weird. But I can handle this. He practiced controlling the bond, focusing on filtering the thoughts that reached him. The mental connection was faint at first, like a whisper through a fog, but it strengthened daily. He could sense when Selene was near danger, or even when she simply walked through the city streets. It was strange, thrilling, and a little frightening all at once. One evening, Selene appeared at his apartment without knocking, a silent shadow at the doorway. Morning? Alex asked, grinning nervously. It's evening, she said dryly, her eyes glowing faintly red in the dim light. But I didn't come for pleasantries. We need to talk. Alex stepped aside, letting her in. He could feel her mood instantly. Calm but sharp, alert, cautious. You've changed, she said after a pause. Humans rarely survive what I did to you. And fewer still adapt as you have, Alex laughed softly. I guess humans are stronger than you give us credit for. Selene's smile was subtle, almost approving. I underestimated you, she admitted. And now, I am curious. Very curious. It didn't take long for trouble to find him. Neolumen wasn't a safe city, not for a human who had bonded with a vampire. One night, while walking home, Alex felt at first a sudden tension in the air, a ripple of danger. His enhanced senses told him something was wrong. Shadows moved faster than they should. Whispered hisses carried on the wind. A group of vampires appeared from the alley, their eyes glowing. They were rough, dangerous, and clearly not friendly. Alex's first instinct was fear, but that instinct had changed. Now fear mixed with focus, strategy, and confidence. He could analyze the situation before even moving. Alex, one hissed, "You shouldn't be here. She belongs to us." "I don't think so," Alex replied calmly, stepping forward. He felt Celine's presence in his mind, a faint tug of concern, a quiet warning. But he didn't hesitate. The fight began. The vampires lunged, but Alex was faster, stronger, and sharper than any human should have been. He dodged, weaved, and countered with moves that felt natural but were enhanced beyond human limits. His punches landed precisely, his kicks calculated to unbalance and disable without fatal damage. One of the attackers sneered. "A human thinks he can fight a vampire?" Alex smirked. "Not just a human." With a sudden burst, he moved faster than their eyes could follow, disarming and knocking them down one by one. It was over in seconds. The remaining vampires scattered into the night, leaving Alex standing in the alley, breathing steadily, exhilarated by the fight. Selene appeared moments later, silent as the shadows. "Impressive," she said, her eyes scanning the alley. "You did more than survive. You fought like one of us." Alex wiped sweat from his brow, laughing. "Humans are underestimated. Always have been. Guess I just proved it again." Over the next few days, Alex continued to explore his new abilities. He could run faster, jump higher, see in near darkness, and hear whispers across blocks. But more importantly, he discovered that his human mind gave him an advantage over traditional vampire thinking. Where vampires relied on raw power and instinct, Alex relied on creativity, strategy, and unpredictability. Selene began training him, not with harshness, but with guidance. She taught him how to sense danger, control his impulses, and move silently. Their sessions were intense, but also filled with moments of laughter, teasing, and quiet understanding. "You're learning quickly," Selene said one night after a particularly challenging session. "I expected less." Alex shrugged, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Humans adapt. We improvise. We survive. That's what makes us humans." Selene's eyes softened, and for a moment Alex thought he saw something like admiration there. He realized that their bond wasn't just about the bite or the ritual. It was growing deeper. Trust, understanding, and maybe even something more. But the world outside was not forgiving. A rival vampire named Draven had noticed Alex's presence and the unusual bond forming with Selene. Draven had always wanted Selene's attention and saw Alex as a fragile obstacle. That night, Draven confronted Alex in a deserted section of the city. "You're nothing," Draven snarled, circling him like a predator. "A human daring to touch what doesn't belong to you." Alex's eyes narrowed. He could feel Selene's presence, calm but urging caution. Yet he did not flinch. "I might be human," Alex said, his voice steady. "But humans aren't weak." "And I'm not just any human," Draven lunged, claws extended. Alex dodged, moving with speed he never thought possible. He countered, using a mix of human improvisation and his new powers. Draven was skilled, but he was predictable, too reliant on his strength. Alex's unpredictability gave him the edge. The fight ended with Draven retreating, snarling but alive. Alex's chest heaved, adrenaline pumping, but he felt exhilarated. He had survived, adapted, and even triumphed. Selene appeared, silent and glowing faintly. "You are remarkable," she said simply. "Humans have potential I underestimated." "I see it now, clearly." Alex smiled, feeling the warmth of her approval and the strange tug of their connection. "I told you," he said, "humans aren't weak. We just have to show them what we can do." Selene nodded. "And you have. But this is only the beginning. Others will notice, and not all of them will be friendly." Alex's mind raced, but he felt ready. He had survived the bite, the bond, and the first real danger. Now he understood something fundamental. The world underestimated humans at their own risk. And with Selene at his side, through the mate bond, they were stronger together than anyone could imagine. As the city lights flickered below, Alex realized that the adventure was far from over. Every shadow could hold danger. Every corner could hide an enemy. But with his mind, his courage, and his bond with Selene, he was ready. The bond was awakening. And so was the human potential. The city of Neolumen never slept, but for Alex, sleep had become rare. His body was still adjusting to the changes from Selene's bite, and his mind was constantly alive with thoughts, not all his own. The bond with Selene had strengthened over the past weeks, and he could sense her moods, her intentions, and sometimes even her unspoken thoughts. It was fascinating and exhausting. Selene appeared at his apartment one evening, silent as the shadows themselves. "We need to train," she said, her voice firm, but not unkind. "The bond has strengthened, but you are still untested. You must learn to control your power and anticipate threats. There are those who will see you as weak, and they will strike." Alex nodded. He had expected challenges. He had survived fights before, but Selene's words carried a weight he could not ignore. Training began at twilight in an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the city. Selene moved like liquid, graceful and fast, testing Alex's reflexes and agility. He quickly realized that his human mind could outthink her. Humans did not rely solely on instinct. They analyzed, planned, and improvised. While Selene attacked in smooth, precise patterns, Alex began to notice gaps in her movements, predicting where she would strike next and countering effectively. "You are clever," Selene said after one particularly difficult exercise. "Most humans would panic or freeze. You adapt." Alex grinned. "Adaptation is what humans do best." Selene's eyes softened slightly, but the seriousness never left her expression. "Adaptation is not enough. You must anticipate danger before it appears. You must understand the enemy, not just fight them." The days turned into weeks, and Alex's skills grew. He learned to move silently, strike with precision, and use the environment to his advantage. But more than that, he began to understand Selene, not just her movements, but her emotions, her thoughts, her fears. The bond was no longer a whisper at the edge of his mind. It was a living connection guiding and teaching him. But danger was never far behind. News of Alex's survival and unusual bond with Selene spread through the vampire community. Many were intrigued, some were fearful, and a few were openly hostile. Draven, the rival vampire who had confronted Alex weeks before, was still plotting. He could not accept that a human had earned Selene's trust, and that the bond made Alex more than just a human. One night, as Alex patrolled the city streets, he sensed something off. The shadows were too quiet, the air too tense. His enhanced hearing picked up faint footsteps behind him, fast, deliberate. He turned to see Draven and two of his followers emerging from the darkness. "You still think you can survive?" Draven snarled. "A human bonded to a vampire. It is unnatural." Alex smiled faintly. "You underestimate humans," he said. "That's your mistake." Draven lunged, claws extended. Alex dodged, relying on speed, agility, and human creativity. Instead of attacking head-on, he used the surroundings, leaping off walls, sliding under streetlights, and leading Draven into narrow alleys where his size and unpredictability gave him an advantage. Selene's presence guided him subtly, nudging him toward strategy rather than brute force. Together, though apart, they moved as a team. Draven realized too late that his predictability was his weakness. Within minutes, Alex had disarmed the attackers, forcing them to retreat. "You are clever," Selene's voice whispered in his mind. He smiled at the thought. The mate bond wasn't just about connection. It was about strength, synergy, and trust. In the days that followed, Alex began to understand the full potential of their bond. He could anticipate danger before it happened, sense emotions from miles away, and even influence subtle decisions in others. Yet, with great power came great responsibility. Humans had always survived by thinking ahead, and Alex now had the ability to act faster, see farther, and plan smarter. Selene noticed his progress. "You are becoming more than human," she said one evening as they trained on the rooftop of her tower. "You are something unique. You are my mate, and together, we are formidable." Alex paused, feeling the weight of her words. "Formidable," he echoed. "I like that." Their bond deepened beyond physical and mental connection. They shared small moments of humor, teasing, and mutual respect. Celine had always been cautious, but around Alex, she seemed almost lighter, more playful. Alex in turn felt confident, alive, and more human than ever, even with his new abilities. But their growing connection was not unnoticed. The Vampire Council, a governing body of powerful and traditional vampires, had begun to take interest. Humans had never been fully accepted, and a human bonded to a vampire was considered a threat to their established order. One afternoon, a messenger arrived with a formal invitation, or rather, a summons. The council wanted to see Alex. The message was clear: prove the worth of your bond or face consequences. Celine's expression darkened. "This is a test," she said quietly. "They will look for weaknesses in you, in us. You must show them that humans are not weak, that our bond is strong." Alex nodded. "Then we'll show them. They've underestimated humans for too long." The council's chambers were vast and intimidating. High ceilings, dark stone walls, and shadows that seemed alive. Vampires of all shapes and ages sat in judgment, their eyes piercing, their expressions unreadable. Alex stood beside Celine, feeling the bond between them tighten. "You brought a human before the council," one elder vampire said, voice like ice. "This is unprecedented." Alex's heart raced, but he did not falter. He could feel Celine's confidence mingling with his own, bolstering him. "Humans are underestimated," he said clearly. "We adapt, we survive, we learn, and we can be stronger than you expect." A murmur ran through the council. Some whispered in approval, others in disbelief. The test began. The council challenged Alex to capture a rogue vampire that had been terrorizing the outskirts of the city. The rogue was cunning, dangerous, and had evaded even the best vampire hunters. Alex accepted without hesitation. "Then I'll capture it," he said, voice steady, "and I'll prove what humans are capable of." The hunt was intense. Alex relied on his enhanced senses, his human ingenuity, and the subtle guidance of Celine's presence. While the rogue vampire was strong and cunning, Alex's creativity gave him the edge. He set traps, anticipated movements, and outsmarted the creature at every turn. Celine watched from a distance, silently guiding him. She marveled at his quick thinking, his ability to combine human logic with supernatural power. Together they cornered the rogue in an abandoned industrial area. "You underestimate humans," Alex said calmly as the rogue lunged at him. "That's your mistake." With a swift, calculated move, Alex neutralized the threat. The rogue vampire, stunned and defeated, had no choice but to flee. The council observed silently, and for the first time, Alex noticed a shift in their expressions. Respect, surprise, recognition. Humans were not weak. Not when bonded, not when clever, not when willing to fight. When he returned, Celine was waiting, her eyes glowing faintly with pride. "You have proven yourself," she said softly. "Not just to the council, but to yourself. Humans, you are remarkable." Alex smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. "We make a good team," he said. "You and I." Celine nodded, her gaze lingering on him. "Yes, a formidable team." As they looked out over the city, Alex realized something important. The trials had only begun. The council's recognition was a start, but threats would continue. Rival vampires, those opposed to human integration, and dangers yet unseen would challenge them. Yet he was ready, more than ready. Humans had always thrived against impossible odds, and now, with Celine's guidance, the bond between human and vampire would prove even stronger. The mate bond had been tested, the trials endured, And Alex had emerged not just alive, but stronger, smarter, and more confident than ever. He was no ordinary human anymore. He was a symbol of human potential, capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with creatures once thought invincible. And with Selene by his side, he knew they could face anything. The night was quiet, but for Alex, it buzzed with possibility. Every shadow, every whisper, every danger, he could face it all. Humans were underestimated, but he was here to change that. The Vampire Council's chambers loomed ahead, dark and intimidating. High ceilings, shadowed alcoves, and towering stone walls gave the place an almost ancient feel. Alex could sense the tension in the air as he stepped forward, Selene's hand brushing lightly against his. Her presence reassured him, steadying his nerves. "This is it," she whispered. "The final challenge. You will show them what humans are capable of. Not just survival, but greatness." Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and determination. Humans had always faced impossible odds and adapted, and now he would prove that adaptability on the grandest stage imaginable. The council greeted them with cold, critical eyes. Vampires of all ages, powerful and poised, regarded Alex with skepticism, curiosity, and sometimes barely disguised hostility. One elder, draped in a cloak that shimmered like black water, spoke first. "You claim humans are capable of more than weakness," the elder said, voice echoing off the stone walls. "Yet humans are fragile, unpredictable, and short-lived. How do you expect to prove your claim?" Alex stood tall, taking a steadying breath. "Humans have survived against predators far stronger, against enemies far smarter. Strength isn't only physical. It's intelligence, creativity, courage, and the ability to adapt. If you doubt us, I will prove it." Murmurs ran through the council. Some vampires scoffed, others leaned forward in interest. Selene's hand tightened briefly in his, silently supporting him. "You will face the rogue faction," another council member said. "They threaten humans and vampires alike. If you succeed in stopping them, it will show the potential of a human bonded with a vampire. Fail, and the consequences will be yours to bear." Alex felt the weight of the challenge settle on his shoulders. This was bigger than any fight he had faced before. It wasn't just about survival. It was about proving humanity's worth in a world that had long underestimated them. The rogue faction was cunning, hidden in the abandoned industrial district at the edge of Neolumen. Rumors said they had amassed weapons, powerful vampires, and deadly strategies to disrupt the city. Alex and Selene moved under the cover of night, the bond between them humming with anticipation. "I can feel them ahead," Selene murmured, her voice steady. "They're dangerous, organized, and desperate. But together, we can outthink them," Alex nodded. "Then let's be smarter." As they approached the district, Alex scanned the area with his enhanced senses. Shadows shifted unnaturally. Whispers echoed from hidden corners, and traps were everywhere. Most humans would have panicked. Alex smiled faintly. "Not me." He signaled Selene, pointing toward several narrow alleys that could serve as traps. "If they attack from the sides, we'll funnel them into the open. Then we control the fight." Selene's eyes glowed faintly red, a sign of her approval. Impressive. Very human. Very clever. The first wave of attackers appeared. Vampires loyal to the rogue faction, fast, strong, and ruthless. They lunged with deadly precision. Alex reacted instinctively, dodging, countering, and guiding Selene through the skirmish. His human creativity combined with vampire speed and strength made them nearly unstoppable. Alex used the environment to his advantage. Broken crates became obstacles. Narrow passages forced attackers to bunch together, and shadows allowed him to move unseen. The rogue faction had power, but humans had unpredictability, and Alex had courage. One of the attackers, a massive vampire with glowing eyes, lunged directly at him. Alex sidestepped, grabbed a chain hanging from above, and swung it like a whip. The attacker stumbled, giving Selene the opening to immobilize him. "See?" Alex said under his breath. "Humans adapt." Selene's thoughts brushed against his mind, a mix of surprise and admiration. Their bond had never felt stronger. As the battle raged, Alex realized the rogue faction's strategy. They were trying to separate him from Selene. If the bond broke, his advantages would vanish and failure would be certain. But humans had survived impossible odds before. Alex adjusted, moving with Selene, anticipating the faction's moves and guiding her in subtle ways they had never practiced. One particularly clever trap involved a reinforced doorway rigged to collapse. Alex ran ahead, used his strength to support the structure temporarily, and directed Selene to take the attackers by surprise from behind. The plan worked perfectly. Several attackers were incapacitated without serious injury, and the rogue faction's momentum faltered. "You think too far ahead for a human?" Selene whispered, impressed. Alex smirked. "I'm a human bonded to a vampire. We're a team now. I think together." The leader of the rogue faction finally appeared, a vampire twice as tall as Alex with claws that gleamed like polished steel. "You dare face me?" he snarled. "A human with a vampire?" Alex felt the tug of Selene's presence, steady, focused. He knew their bond was strong enough to withstand anything the leader could throw at them. "You underestimate humans," Alex said calmly. "That's your first mistake. You'll make another if you face me without thinking," the leader charged. Alex dodged, then used a combination of human ingenuity and vampire-enhanced reflexes to turn the environment against him. Loose debris, narrow passages, and well-timed feints slowed the vampire leader. Selene moved with him, a synchronized shadow of precision. Finally, Alex spotted the opening, a broken support beam above. With a precise calculation, he triggered the beam to fall, blocking the leader's path without harming him fatally. The rogue faction leader snarled in frustration and retreated. Alex and Selene stood victorious. The rogue faction scattered, defeated not by raw strength alone, but by strategy, teamwork, and the unexpected creativity of a human. When they returned to the council, the chamber was silent. The council members studied Alex carefully, their expressions unreadable. Then one by one they began to nod. Respect replaced skepticism. "You have proven remarkable," the elder said finally. "A human bonded with a vampire. Your strength is undeniable. You have not only survived, you have excelled." Alex felt a surge of pride. "We adapt. We survive. And together, we are stronger than you thought." Selene's hand brushed his, her touch warm and approving. "I knew it," she whispered. "Humans are not weak, and now the world sees it too." The council formally acknowledged Alex and Selene's bond, recognizing humans as more than mere prey or fragile creatures. It was a historic moment. Humans had a new place in the city, and Alex was a symbol of their potential. Later, atop Selene's tower, Alex looked out over Neo-Lumen. The city was alive, vibrant, and full of possibilities. He realized that humans were capable of so much more than anyone had imagined. It wasn't raw power that made them strong. It was ingenuity, courage, creativity, and the ability to rise when the odds were impossible. Selene stood beside him, her eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. "You've proven more than survival," she said softly. "You've shown that humans can excel, even in a world built for vampires." Alex smiled, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. "And we've only just begun," he said. "Humans have potential that no one can ignore now. Not council, not rival vampires. No one." Selene's lips curved into a faint smile. "Then we move forward. Together." The night stretched before them, full of promise and challenges yet unseen. But Alex knew this. As long as humans could think, adapt, and dare to face the impossible, they would never be weak. And as he stood there, bonded with Selene, he realized that human ingenuity combined with supernatural power was a force the world had never expected, and one the city would never forget. The ultimate challenge had been met, and humanity's strength had been proven. The bond between Alex and Selene had survived trials, danger, and the skepticism of an entire species. Together they were unstoppable. The adventure was far from over. But for now, the world had seen a human rise, clever and courageous, and the shadows themselves had begun to shift in respect. The city of Neo-Lumen was quiet, almost deceptively so. After the council acknowledged Alex and Selene's bond, many vampires had begun to reconsider humans, but not all had accepted this new order. Rumors of a secret vampire faction had begun to spread, a faction opposed to human integration and determined to reclaim power through force. Alex felt it in his senses long before any warning arrived. Shadows moved unnaturally across the rooftops, whispers floated through the alleys, and the air held a tension that made his muscles tense. Selene stood beside him, silent and alert, her red eyes scanning the horizon. They've been planning, Selene said, her voice calm but edged with warning. They'll strike soon, and they are stronger than anything you've faced before. Alex clenched his fists. Then we'll be ready. Humans survive impossible odds. We adapt. And we fight. The first attack came at night. Neolumen's power grid flickered, streetlights dimmed, and shadows surged like a living wave. The secret faction emerged from the darkness, elite vampires moving with lethal precision. Their goal was clear: eliminate Alex, challenge Selene, and send a message that humans were still beneath them. But Alex was ready. He had trained, learned, and grown. His body, enhanced by Selene's bite, moved with fluid grace. His mind, human and clever, analyzed every attack and countered with calculated precision. Split into teams, Selene commanded, her voice sharp and decisive. I'll take the left flank. You take the right. We'll converge at the center. Alex nodded. Understood. The battle began. Vampires from the secret faction lunged with claws and speed that would have overwhelmed ordinary humans. But Alex was not ordinary. He dodged, countered, and struck with strength and precision far beyond human limits. He used the environment, walls, poles, debris to his advantage, creating traps and distractions. He could sense Selene's movements, even without looking. The mate bond allowed them to anticipate each other, synchronize attacks, and cover blind spots. Together they were unstoppable. One particularly large vampire lunged at Alex with brutal force. Alex sidestepped, grabbed a chain hanging from a fire escape, and swung it like a whip. The vampire stumbled, giving Selene the opening to strike. You are extraordinary, she whispered in his mind, a rare note of admiration and warmth. Alex smirked. Humans are underestimated, always have been. As the battle raged, Alex realized the true advantage of their bond. He could sense his enemies' movements before they made them. He could feel Selene's intentions and adjust his strategy in real time. The combination of human ingenuity and vampire strength made them a force no one had anticipated. The secret faction regrouped, trying to trap them in a collapsing building, but Alex thought quickly. Using his environment, he set up improvised barriers and led the attackers into a narrow passage. Their numbers were meaningless when they couldn't move freely. Selene struck from the shadows, her movements precise and lethal, while Alex handled the strategy, ensuring no enemy could flank them. You're different, one of the attackers growled, frustrated. No human has ever fought like this. Alex grinned. I'm not just a human. Finally, they reached the leader of the secret faction, a massive vampire, older and more cunning than any Alex had faced before, towered over them. His claws gleamed like steel and his eyes burned with fury. You dare defy us? The leader snarled. A human, with a vampire. You insult everything we stand for. Alex's heart pounded, but his mind was calm. He could feel Selene's focus and trust in him. Together, they had a chance. You've underestimated humans, Alex said steadily. We survive, we adapt, and together we are stronger than you can imagine. The leader lunged. Alex dodged, using speed, strategy, and timing to keep the attackers at bay. Selene moved in perfect synchronization, striking with precision and speed that only a vampire could achieve. But it wasn't just strength. They were a team, unpredictable and clever, combining human ingenuity with supernatural power. Alex noticed a weak point in the structure above the leader. With a quick calculation, he used a loose metal beam to trap the vampire leader without killing him. The rogue vampire struggled, trapped but alive, and the remaining faction members fled in confusion and fear. When the dust settled, Alex and Selene stood victorious. Neolumen's night was quiet again, but this time it felt peaceful. Not just because the danger was gone, but because humans had proven themselves. The city had witnessed the strength of human courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. Selene turned to Alex, her eyes glowing softly. You have done more than survive. You've proven that humans are not weak, that together we are formidable. Alex smiled, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. We make a good team, he said. Better than anyone expected. Celine's lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. Yes, better than anyone expected. In the days that followed, humans and vampires alike began to view each other differently. Humans who had been dismissed as fragile or weak now had a new place in the city. Alex became a symbol of human potential, courage, and ingenuity. Selene stood by his side, proud and protective, as the city slowly adjusted to a new reality. Together, they faced every challenge, fought every threat, and strengthened their bond with every passing day. Their connection had begun as a gamble, a wager that Alex would dare to date a vampire, but it had grown into something eternal, something powerful, and something beautiful. Alex had discovered that human strength was more than physical. It was courage, creativity, loyalty, and the ability to rise against impossible odds. And Selene had learned that humans could surprise even the most powerful vampires with their resilience and ingenuity. One evening, atop Selene's tower, Alex looked out over Neo-Lumen. The city lights sparkled like a galaxy below them, full of possibilities and promise. Selene stood beside him, her hand in his. "Do you ever regret it?" Alex asked, a playful grin on his face. "Regret?" Selene raised an eyebrow. "Biting you? Bonding with you?" "Never. You are extraordinary." Alex laughed softly. "I never thought a wager could change everything. But here we are, stronger, smarter, together." Selene's gaze softened. "Together," she agreed. "Always." The night stretched endlessly before them, full of promise, adventure, and new challenges. Alex knew that danger would come again. There would always be threats, but he no longer feared them. With human ingenuity, courage, and his bond with Selene, there was nothing they could not face. And as he stood there, hand in hand with the vampire who had chosen him as her eternal mate, Alex realized the truth. Humans were never weak. They were clever, adaptable, brave, and capable of greatness beyond imagination. The city below was alive, the night full of possibility, and the bond between human and vampire stronger than ever. For Alex and Selene, this was not the end. It was only the beginning. A beginning of adventures, victories, and a partnership that would stand the test of time. Together they had changed the course of history, proved humanity's worth, and forged a bond that was eternal. The world had underestimated humans. But that mistake would never be made again.